Hello, I'm Kelly from Britt Memorial Library, and today I'm going to show you how to use a sewing machine to make our pocket mask that we made last month. So I showed you how to make it by hand and what types of stitches you needed, but if you have a sewing machine or you have access to one and you prefer to do it this way because it is faster, I will show you how to do that. So what you will need today are a 10 by 12 piece of fabric, cotton is preferred, 2 pieces of ribbon less than 1 inch wide. They can be between 15 and 30 inches. You can trim it down as needed. I'm using 24 inches today. You'll need a ruler, pencil, thread. I also have thread in the bobbin for my sewing machine, scissors, and preferably 2 safety pins to help hold our folds until they are stitched. So the instructions are on our Facebook page. I have everything you need on here, as well as pictures guiding you through the process. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first step is to make our 2 hems that we're going to be sewing. So we're going to pin the edges in place. Going to fold in about 1/2 inch from the edge, and then 1/2 inch again. It should take about 1 inch off the length in that direction. I'm going to pin it. And this is coming in from the longer length. So if it's 10 by 12, you're going to have 10 inches here, 12 inches here. So you fold in the 1/2 inch, should bring it to about 11, and then we're going to bring it down to about 10 from the other end. So that's about 1/2 inch. And if it's not exact, that's fine. It's just an estimate. And then I can also mark here so you see about 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here if you need to measure to help you know where to fold. Just make your guide marks. These will wash out because it's just pencil, or you can use chalk too if it's a dark fabric. So you fold it on that first line, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, pin, all right, and then we're ready to sew. Okay, so to put our thread on, every sewing machine is different, but in this case, what I've got is there's thread coming through the bobbin from down here. We've got the needle, the plate, and then you put your spool up top, feed it on, and then this one shows which order you put the thread through. First step, second step, third, and so on. But you'll bring it through here, follow it down through this hole, back up, and then through that last little metal piece up here. And then we're going to thread it through the needle. So something you can do is make sure the end is twisted, and then to help it become a fine point, so you can bring it through the needle. The eye of the needle, which is small, but it's in there. Pull it through, get out of the way. This bobbin was already pulled through, but you just want to make sure it's coming up through from the bottom and coming down through from the top. And then you pull them both to underneath the plate and off to the side. Have at least a few inches of clearance, and then you can shorten the one from up here by just spinning the spool if you need to. Just so you can see what I'm doing, I'm going to show a guideline for when I'm sewing. You don't necessarily need to do this, but it can help you as you're learning to keep a straight line and to know where you want to end up, so that the stitch is the same distance from the edge the whole way through. So I'm going to stitch about 1/2 inch in from the edge, or a little bit less. My fold is a little more than 1/2 inch, but I'll bring it in to about 3/8 is good. 3/8 to 1/2 is fine. Keep it closer to the inner edge rather than the outer edge to make sure you sew through all the layers. On this side, I'm going to do it from the back side, because I'm going to sew one side from the back facing up and one side from the front facing up, just so you can see the process both ways. and just make it a straight line. Again, this will wash out when you wash the mask in the machine. So we're going to stitch our first seam. Stick it underneath. So this plate has a switch. It can bring it down and up. Having it up helps you feed it through, get it all set up, and then when you're ready to sew, you just flick it down and it holds your fabric in place. Line up the center of the plate with that line we drew so you know where it's going to end up. Alright, and I have a foot pedal that helps feed it through. So I'm going to get started and I'm going to guide it with my hands. Start slowly. Make sure it's where you want it to be. If you need to adjust it, lift the plate, shift it a little, press it back down, and keep going. Alright, when you get to the end, sewing machines usually have a reverse function, so in this case I'm going to hold it down and then keep sewing, and it will go back over and it sort of locks it in place so the stitch doesn't come undone. So you flick the plate back up, gently pull it out, and machines usually also have a cutter. You can also use scissors if you need to trim the end. And trim the first end here. Give a few inches so you have room to knot if you need to. And that's our first one, and we're on to the second. Put the plate back down and get started. Do the reverse to lock the stitch. And we're done with that one. So next we're going to take these two seams, the inside of the seams toward each other, like this. And then we're going to take one of the pieces of ribbon, put it on the edge. Make your fold a little bit larger than the width of the ribbon, keeping the ribbon on that, just on the edge, so you have empty space here. You fold it one more time. So right along here is where we're going to stitch. So to make sure you do not catch the ribbon, we're going to stitch very close to this edge and do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to pin it in place. And then same thing on the other side. I'll get this one prepped and we'll move on to the sewing. So we're ready to sew. I'm going to start with one side. I have the inside of the seam facing up toward me just to make sure I'm going through all the layers of fabric. Alright, place it under just at the edge. Lower your plate and start. Hot. Trim the edge. Alright, and we'll repeat on the other side. Pull it out and trim. And then use your scissors to trim the ends of the thread. We want to adjust the length. Tie them in knots, however is comfortable for you. If you're tying them around your ear, I find that knotting them at about the length of the mask seems to fit to the ear, and it will extend as you wear it as it shrinks through. And here's the finished product. This is one worn, and this is one we just made. So you stretch this over your ears, but again, you can adjust it to wherever it's comfortable, and you can trim the ends if you'd like. And if you have a filter that you'd like to put inside to make it more protective, you can slip it inside this pocket. So I hope you had fun. Good luck. If you have any questions, feel free to write me or call me, and stay safe.